My name's Terry Cannon. I work at the Institute of Development Studies, which is based in Brighton at the University of Sussex. And I work there on climate change adaptation and disaster prevention. Well, these conferences began 12 years ago. I've been involved in local level adaptation issues for all of that time. I've been to half the conferences. And when it started, I think it was an absolutely crucial intervention to make sure that adaptation was thought of as being something that was at the local level and was people focused. And because otherwise there was always the danger that governments and international agencies would focus on the top level, or they would see adaptation as being about infrastructure, technical fixes, and not actually directly affecting the people. So I think that was an absolutely crucial intervention. In the time since then, I think one problem, for me a very significant problem, is that the word community has become abused. And it's now abused in a way that is, people are forgetting, why are people vulnerable? Why are they poor? Why are they vulnerable? Why do they have problems with climate change? And these are caused by political and economic issues. They're part of the power systems in each country. And unless we actually realize that these issues operate at the community level as well, we will not be addressing it properly. So for example, if we were to ask in a particular so-called community what is causing people's poverty and vulnerability, a good share of it is created within that so-called community. Now the word community assumes that there is a collective which can take joint action on climate change. And I challenge that. I don't think there's any basis in which you can have that collective action when there are exploiters and oppressors within that so-called community who are taking advantage of the other people. Well, I think there are many. One of the problems is the community can be defined in so many ways. The way I'm challenging it is the way it's used by NGOs and agencies that are dealing with what they call communities, which is basically the local level. In the countryside, usually it's a village. And in that sense, it's not united. So the word community is very convenient because it makes it feel like there is something there which is united, which will act together, which will have a collective action. And I think that's false. I think the community is very, very divided, and we have to acknowledge that. Well, in Bangladesh, for example, depending where you are, between 20 and 60% of the people are landless. Now, if we are going to do a community-based adaptation project, this means that that whole section of the population has very little ability to adapt. They work for wages, they do sharecropping, they have no control, or basically no control over their lives. So how on earth can they adapt? And if our adaptation is helping people who have got land, is it at the expense of those who don't have land? I think in simplistic terms, the things that we can do are only those which don't challenge power. If we're challenging power, somebody will be disagreeing with it. So I think the aim is to try to find things where we do not necessarily disrupt existing power relationships. Now, no doubt some of the projects manage to do that. My problem is that many of them don't actually say, why are people in need of our help? What is going on which is creating their poverty and their vulnerability? So I think that's one step, is to actually see what can be done without those challenges. But that doesn't actually necessarily do more than deal with the symptoms. So I think we constantly have to be asking, what is causing this problem? And this problem is caused at the global scale by inequality, power systems which allocate wealth to some people much more than to others. And at the local level, it's by inequalities of land holding, gender oppression, and so on. And I think we have to be very upfront and not ignore these.